It's a beautiful day in Mute City, a beautiful day for racing. Would you be mine? Do you hear a goat? It's a lovely day in this future town, competitive day for racing. Would you be mine? Could you be my goat? I have always wanted to have a racer just like you. I've always wanted to live in the future with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my racer? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my goat? Hello, gamer. Don't you just despise shoes? I would throw mine if I could. And, now, did you see the, what special thing I brought in to show you? It's called a picture book. Because behind each one of these little doors is a picture of people. It's Croc the Crocodile. Yazoo! Kersplat. Now let's have a look behind this door and... oh, it's Klonoa, the Dream Traveler. With his ring and big floppy ears. Now who's behind this door? Oh, it's Gex the Gecko. He always says, it's tail time, but we don't like Gex. Now, I would like you to meet an old friend of mine. His name is Captain Falcon. Mr. Falcon hasn't had his own game since 2004, and this has made him very sad. He's feeling forgotten by gamers in today's world. Do you know what it means to forget? It's a decision we make to release a person from our memory and overlook the times we had with them. It's strange, but sometimes the only way to go forward is to let go of the ones we love. You know, I feel like destroying my shoes. Come on, but first, let's go see Captain Falcon. Come on, follow me to Mute City! Who is Captain Falcon? If you were born after 2004, you'll know him as a fighter in the Super Smash Bros. Series. However, for everyone born before then, Captain Falcon was the protagonist on the Nintendo series F-Zero. F-Zero was a series of futuristic racing games where the players would pilot hover cars and compete in races on various alien worlds.
Captain Falcon's vehicle of choice? The Blue Falcon. The first F-Zero was released in 1990 and was a launch title for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or the SNES as it was known. The game featured 4 playable characters, with the lineup featuring Captain Falcon, Samurai Goro, Pico, and Dr. Stewart.
Ah, Dr. Stewart, he was in the Sonic X anime, wasn't he?
What?
You know, he was Mr. Stewart, weren't he, in the Sonic X?
No, different character.
Oh.
F-Zero's major selling point was how the game implemented the SNES Mode 7 graphics.
The fancy Mode 7 graphics.
Yes. See, Mode 7 was basically a form of texture mapping which allowed the developers to scale and rotate 2D sprites in a 3D space. This gave the illusion that you were racing around in 3D, which was pretty groundbreaking at the time.
A little bit like Toy Story on the Mega Drive, when you're driving the RC, going back to pick up Buzz at the house.
No, that's not Mode 7.
It's not?
No, because that was on the Genesis, and the Genesis couldn't do Mode 7.
No.
In reality, the vehicle wasn't even moving, and the racetrack was actually being moved around the player. But, you know, it still looks impressive.
The core racing gameplay involved players completing 5 laps on a given course. On each track are numerous hazards which, when hit, causes your power meter to deplete. The only way to recover your power is to drive over pit arrears, which are like pit stops in Formula 1. Except, there are no humans, just beams.
Not that kind of beam! Upon each successful lap, players also get the ability to use a speed boost called the Super Jet, which allows them to get a quick leg up over their competition. A bit like how Heinz baked beans give you more gas.
Yes, alright, you asked for it.
The game was developed in-house at Nintendo by a team of 9 people.
Just 9?
Yes, Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto served as producer, who basically told the team to just get on with it, which art designer Takeya Imamura loved because it meant he had so much freedom. Surprisingly, the game did not feature a multiplayer component, meaning players were forced to be a sad and lonely earthworm.
I'm a sad and lonely earthworm, so sad, lonely, and blue.
Despite the lack of multiplayer, the game was critically acclaimed, with critics being impressed by the fast and fluid pseudo 3D racing.
No, pseudo 3D
Pseudo 3D racing.
Pseudo 3D racing.
Many praised the innovative Mode 7 graphics, with others contemplating... My speech is out. Hold on. Seashells on the seashore. Seashells on the seashore.
Many praised the innovative Mode 7 graphics, with others commenting that the track design, controls, and difficulty were also top-notch. Unlike my cousin Phil, F-Zero was more than just a pretty face.
F-Zero would ultimately become credited for setting a new standard for racing games, as well as inventing the futuristic racing subgenre in video games, which will also be seen in Wipeout and Extreme G, Dexter Morrington's favorite.
I've never played the Extreme G game, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, someone told me it's their favorite.
X-Day on the Opens Day.
The game has since been widely regarded as one of the best games ever for its influence and playability.
Did the game sell well? I'm not sure, but it was supported after its release. Additional content for the game was provided via the Satellite View attachment for the Super Famicom. Exclusively in Japan, the SNES was given a satellite modem, which allowed players to download additional content through satellite broadcasts provided by the Japanese company Saint Giga.
Wait a minute, DLC?
Well, it's not really DLC. I mean, it's weird. Oh.
The Satellaview would attach to the bottom of the Super Famicom, and players would require a BS tuner and a satellite dish to access the Saint Giga broadcast. Players would also have to pay monthly fees to Saint Giga and Nintendo for the use of their services.
As if Nintendo didn't have enough of your money, now they wanted to suck you dry until you are nothing but dust and bones. There were 2 games for F-Zero released over the Satellite View. The first was BS F-Zero Grand Prix, which was referred to as a Soundlink game. Basically, this meant that the game could only be played during its broadcast, as it featured live voice acting from its radio commentators.
Heh, BS, we all know what that stands for, don't we? Bull.
This Soundlink game contained 4 new playable vehicles and tracks, with each one being available weekly during the broadcast. There were 4 broadcasts starting from the 3rd of January 1997 and finishing on the 24th.
A follow-up to BS F-Zero Grand Prix came in the summer of '97, with the release of BS F-Zero Grand Prix 2. This time, it was spread over 3 weeks, which included a standalone practice session and 2 live events. Yes, live.
I mean, this does sound really cool, but I can't even get my head around how it works. I mean, like, you got the radio broadcast, and you're playing it live with the voiceover. I mean, what's going on?
That's radio for you.
During the release of the BS F-Zero games, Nintendo were busy making a new installment of F-Zero for the ill-fated Virtual Boy.
Tentatively titled Zero Racers, this would have been the first true 3D installment in the F-Zero franchise. The game
Here's
was
proof.
The game
Here's
was
proof
first.
with the
No, you're jumping ahead. Hang on. The game was first previewed in Nintendo Power in July 1996, with a planned release that fall. Here's proof, with a low-quality 2-page spread from the magazine.
It would have featured 4 playable racers, including new racer Origami, based on the paper-folding art popular in Japan. Unfortunately, like many Virtual Boy games, Zero Racers was cancelled. Never seen the light of day.
A bit like poor Gazim in Aladdin. The next proper installment of the F-Zero franchise would appear in 1998 with the release of F-Zero X for the Nintendo 64. This would be the first true 3D F-Zero game, with all the game's race courses and vehicles being rendered in incredible detail. Well, not really.
Nintendo were keen to keep the game's frame rate at a consistent 60 frames per second, which at the time was considered very rare in the industry. However, Nintendo managed to pull it off at the expense of the graphical detail. As a result, the game's background details and textures were lacking, with even the polygon count being extremely cancelled.
However, the sacrifices were worth it in order to get a super smooth frame rate and 30 races to appear in each race. Yep, you heard me right. F-Zero X featured 30 races, all whizzing past each other to be number 1. To help broaden the world of F-Zero, each of the 30 races were given their own pilot and unique vehicle. This included new characters like Jody Summer, and the other guy's favorite, Octoman.
Octoman! Yes! I love this guy!
For the most part, the core gameplay remained the same. However, there were some minor tweaks to the F-Zero gameplay. One such change was that players were now able to use a speed boost after the first lap, which they could use repeatedly as long as they had enough power in their energy meter.
This changed the gameplay dynamics somewhat, as players now had to balance between using speed boosts to get ahead, while retaining enough energy to survive, which was a stroke of genius.
Like the Mario paintbrush, a stroke of genius.
Yes. Another new feature was the introduction of the spin move, which allowed players to attack other races by literally spinning like a crazy person. The implementation of offensive attacks led to the inclusion of a death race mode, which involves the player destroying the other 29 races as quickly as possible. There were also Grand Prix and time attack modes, as well as a versus battle. You could now play with up to 3 other friends, meaning you were no longer a sad and lonely earthworm.
I am a happy earthworm, now that I am too.
Upon release, the game received positive reviews. Critics were impressed with the range of courses and racers, as well as its high frame rate and the game's ability to handle 30 races on screen at the same time. Plus, they also praised the core racing gameplay and the kick-ass rock tunes. The biggest criticism was the visuals and the fact that when you did play with 30 players online, it caused the game to crash.
You can't play the game with 30 players online.
Then what's this? Why did IGN say we can?
They did not say that.
What's this then?
I don't know what that is. 2 years later, F-Zero X would get an expansion pack for the 64DD.
The D stands for Diddy Kong.
No.
No.
The DD stands for disk drive, and basically it was a disk drive add-on for the Nintendo 64 that sold poorly and was never released outside of Japan. A bit like the St. Giga Network thing.
Wait. Why do they keep doing this extra add-on in DLC before DLC?
It's not DLC. It's an expansion pack.
Yeah,
expansion packs existed for ages. They existed on the PC. Do your research. The expansion kit worked in conjunction with the original cartridge, giving players 12 new tracks, a car editor, and a track creator.
That's right, players could create their own racetracks by literally using the same tools the developers used for making the game's original tracks. Modern racing racers, eat your heart out.
Players could save up to 100 tracks thanks to the increased storage space of the disc format, and even create their own custom cups. Like this one, look.
The Michael Caine trophy.
Before the release of the F-Zero X expansion kit, Captain Falcon would appear as a playable fighter in Nintendo's crossover fighting game series, Super Smash Bros., released in 1999. Captain Falcon appeared alongside a cast of 11 other Nintendo characters, which show just how much Nintendo loved this guy.
Yeah, loved him back then. Captain Falcon would also appear in the sequel, Super Smash Bros. Melee, which was released in 2001.
Melee was also the game that introduced us to Captain Falcon's iconic
Falcon Punch!
And
Falcon Kick!
Which he didn't do in the first one.
Oh no, he said Falcon Punch in the first Smash Bros.
Did he? I thought the Nintendo 64 couldn't do voice acting.
No, he said it. Remember Star Fox 64 had voice acting?
The N64 had voice acting.
Yes.
Name me 2 games besides Star Fox 64 that had voice acting.
Mario 64 and Conker's Bad Fur Day.
A new installment for the F-Zero series would come along in 2001 with the release of F-Zero Maximum Velocity for the Nintendo Game Boy Advance. Much like the original, Maximum Velocity was a launch title for its respective system, designed to show off those stunning Mode 7 graphics, this time on a handheld.
In the series first, none of the original characters made an appearance. No Captain Falcon, no Samurai Goro. Instead, the cast consisted of a bunch of new characters and vehicles, including Kent. Maximum Velocity was definitely a callback to the very first F-Zero, in both presentation and gameplay. Unlike F-Zero X, where you can use your speed boost at will depending on your energy meter, players could use a one-up speed boost after each successful lap. Much like the emotions.
Unlike the original, the game did feature multiplayer, with players able to compete against 3 other friends. This was achieved by using the Game Boy Advance link cable, which allowed you to connect multiple GBAs together. If only one of you had a cartridge, you would have a limited multiplayer experience. But if you all had cartridges, well, let's just say.
Shit, this got real!
Upon release, the game received positive reviews. Critics were impressed by the simple but hard to master gameplay, the track design, and the game's smooth graphics. The multiplayer component was also praised, with IGN feeling it was a highlight of the game. On the other hand, one critic called the game an enhanced port of the SNES original, which it's not. Like, it's clearly a new game. I mean, do you see Captain Falcon anywhere? No.
In 2002, Nintendo announced they were forming a partnership with both Sega and Namco to create new installments in the F-Zero and Star Fox series. Namco went on to produce Star Fox Assault, while Sega were tasked with making a new installment in the F-Zero series. And how fitting, considering Sega's mascot is Sonic the Hedgehog, the fastest thing alive.
Sega gave the reins to Amusement Vision, the developers of Super Monkey Ball. That's right, a really full, fun series of monkeys and balls, to produce not 1, but 2 F-Zero games. This included an arcade game called F-Zero AX, as well as a game for the Nintendo GameCube called F-Zero GX.
Released in 2003, F-Zero GX was a blistering, balls-to-the-walls new installment in the much-loved franchise. Running off an enhanced version of the Monkey Ball engine, GX brought all the lightning-fast gameplay from the previous games and polished it to perfection.
To the point it was so polished, it burned your eyes.
This time around, no compromises were made. The graphics were phenomenal, with detailed vehicles and tracks, all running at a silky smooth frame rate with 30 races on screen at any one time. The racetracks were interesting and varied. The range of races available was also extensive, with each hovercar having their own strengths and weaknesses.
GX was also the first installment to feature a story mode, where players control Captain Falcon over 9 different chapters. I mean, yeah, to be honest, the story's a bit disjointed and doesn't make much sense, but I appreciate the effort. Also, the voice acting is horrendous, although it's not as bad as, well, you know, Leo the Lion.
Oh no! Oh!
An avalanche! Rudy! Rudy!
Father!
Climb on my back! Come on, hurry!
GX was a robust package, packed full of modes, tracks, and characters. There was only one problem. For some, the game was just too friggin' hard! You may scoff at the story mode being only 9 chapters, but when you find yourself trying again and again to beat it, you'll be grateful it wasn't longer. However, for those willing to put the time in, F-Zero GX was one of the best racing games ever made.
Despite some critics calling it very racist.
Yes, for its depiction of the Blood Falcon.
In a neat twist, F-Zero GX had a connectivity to F-Zero AX in the arcades. Players could insert their Nintendo GameCube memory card into the arcade unit, where they can play the game to unlock AX exclusive tracks and vehicles for use in GX. Players could also store 4 races from GX on their memory card and play them in F-Zero AX. This is amazing. I mean, it's fantastic.
I like all this like connectivity, crossplayness. It's very playful. It's very fun. It's why you play video games. Upon release, F-Zero GX was met with very positive reviews. Critics were impressed with the visuals, controls, and gameplay, with some noting that F-Zero was finally running on hardware that did it justice. However, most critics agreed that the game was just too difficult, believing it would lead to many players smashing up their rooms in frustration.
In 2003, F-Zero made the jump to television with the airing of the anime series F-Zero GP Legend. In a surprising twist, Captain Falcon was not the main protagonist. Instead, the series focused on a new character named Ryu Suzuku.
No, Suzuku.
Suzuku, a police detective who suffers a near-fatal car accident while in pursuit of a criminal named Zuda. Or is that a nod to Zelda?
I always thought it was Zoda, like Yoda, but with a Z. Ryu nearly dies, but is revived in the year 2021. I think that's a typo. I don't think it's 2021.
Oh my gosh!
But anyway, he's revived in the future by Jodie Summer and Dr. Stewart, who are members of a task force tracking down Zoda and his cronies. Ryu joins in the hunt, and along the way, bumps into various characters from the video games, including Captain Falcon.
The show was dubbed by 4Kids Entertainment for broadcast in North America. While the Japan originally had 51 episodes produced, the 4Kids dub only ran to 15 episodes before being cancelled. The anime would end up becoming the basis for the next two video games in the F-Zero series.
The first of these was F-Zero GP Legend, released in 2003 for the Nintendo Game Boy Advance. The game adopted the Mode 7 style graphics from the previous handheld entry. However, the boost system and attack moves from the 3D games were implemented instead.
The game also featured 30 racers in a single race, including faces from the anime.
Like Dr. Y. The game had an assortment of modes, including a Grand Prix, story, time attack, multiplayer, and even a mysterious new mode called Zero Test.
You said those words!
Oh my god, don't tell me, did he say the words?
He said the words!
You gotta say the other words to stop this alarm! Quick, the police will come here, you gotta say it!
Come on, you must say the word, you know the word! Quick, hurry!
Just say it, jeez, please!
Just say it!
Say it!
Say it! You mean it!
In Zero Test, players had to complete a series of challenges within an allocated time limit. If you miss the timer, you're buggered, a bit like Michael Caine at the end of The Italian Job.
Hang on a minute, lads. I've got a great idea.
The Japanese version of F-Zero GP Legend also supported the use of the e-reader, an add-on for the Game Boy Advance, which allowed players to scan cards to access additional content. This is Amiibos before Amiibos, with the Amiibo cards.
Yeah.
Remember the Amiibo cards?
I remember the Amiibo cards.
Which one did you collect?
Fox. In total, it gave players access to 16 new levels and 8 new characters. Dare I say it, another cash grab from Nintendo. And like you say, the Amiibos, there it is, Nintendo wanting all our money until we're nothing but dust and bones.
Oh no, a bit like Spider-Man in Infinity War.
Reviews were generally positive, with critics feeling the game was a competent new entry in the series. Some critics felt the technical limitations of GBA did hold the game back in areas, while others felt the game didn't really add anything new to the series, making it somewhat dull and derivative.
Oh, what a shame.
A year later, Nintendo released a sequel of sorts called F-Zero Climax. Climax carried over many of the modes from the previous installment. However, it did introduce 2 new modes in the form of a survival mode and editor mode.
In survival, players have to complete various mission-based objectives, such as racing with low health or racing an opponent without guardrails on the track.
Oh, scary.
I'm terrified.
Completing these challenges unlock character bios and an episode synopsis from the anime.
In edit mode, players can create their own tracks and share them via the game link cable. A callback to F-Zero X's expansion kit.
Upon release, the game was met with mostly positive reviews. Critics were once again impressed with the game's controls and challenges. However, some found the track designs disappointing.
In general, most critics thought the game felt more like an expansion pack than a proper sequel, noting it didn't offer enough new content to make it truly stand out. The game was never released in other territories, making it exclusive to Japan.
To Japan! To Japan!
F-Zero Climax would ultimately live up to its name, as it ended up being the last installment in the franchise. Much like a farmer putting down a mad cow, Nintendo would put F-Zero to sleep permanently.
Show me your moves. Yes, come on, Falcon Punch!
While the franchise would be put to rest, Captain Falcon and elements of F-Zero would appear in other Nintendo video games. For instance, Captain Falcon would continue to appear as a playable fighter in all future installments of the Smash Bros. Series, which included Brawl in 2008, the 3DS and Wii U iterations in 2014, and Ultimate in 2018. The Blue Falcon would also appear as a playable Kart in Mario Kart Wii, released in 2008.
F-Zero would make an appearance in the Wii U party game Nintendo Land, in the minigame Captain Falcon's Twister Racer. In this single-player game, players have to race down a track and survive for as long as possible, while avoiding various obstacles.
A bit like going down that water ride in Alton Towers.
The gamepad is used as a steering wheel, with the screen displaying a top-down view of the track, while the TV screen showed a third-person view.
In 2014, Nintendo released the newest entry in the Mario Kart series with Mario Kart 8. The big gimmick this time round was the introduction of anti-gravity racing, which for many fans signaled the definitive death knell for the series. I mean, anti-gravity, that's F-Zero's whole friggin' shtick.
Despite this, Mario Kart 8 would pay its respects to F-Zero with the release of F-Zero themed DLC. This included 2 racetracks based off Mute City and Big Blue. It wasn't a new F-Zero, but for many, this was probably the closest players were going to get to a new F-Zero game. Well, at least from Nintendo anyway. You see, in 2011, a German developer called Shinen Multimedia released a futuristic racing game for the Wii's WiiWare download service called Fast Racing League. While it didn't make a big splash, the game's sequel would. I mean, it still wasn't a big splash, but it was certainly bigger than the first one.
Fast Racing Neo was released in 2015 for the Wii U, and with its stellar graphics, tight controls, and challenging gameplay, it was quickly compared to F-Zero. It even featured online multiplayer for up to 8 players, something fans have been clamoring for.
It wasn't F-Zero, but for many, it certainly scratched that proverbial itch.
Right on it. Yeah. That's delicious. Oh, just a little bit.
An expanded version of Fast Racing Neo called Fast RMX came out for the Switch in 2017, giving players an additional 12 new courses on top of the 24 tracks from the base game. Again, not F-Zero, but it's better than nothing. I mean, speaking of futuristic racing games, whatever happened to Wipeout? Where's that gone?
What are you kissing me for?
Why'd you kiss him?
Despite numerous requests from fans to see a new F-Zero, it seems Nintendo just don't want to do it. On multiple occasions, Shigeru Miyamoto has stated that he doesn't know where the series can go. He even went so far to say he doesn't even know why fans would want a new F-Zero. I mean, does he even know why fans like the series in the first place?
I mean, it's still popular, it still appears in Smash Bros.
There's certainly been moments of hope. In 2015, Miyamoto changed his tune and said a new installment could be possible if they created a unique controller for it. Meanwhile, this year, F-Zero GX producer Toshihiro Nagoshi said he would be open to working with Nintendo again to make a new installment if given the opportunity.
So give it to him already, jeez.
Yeah, gosh.
However, until then, the series remains on hiatus, untouched, but never forgotten.
Train. So that was the story of Captain Falcon and how he never had a game since. But all's not over for Captain Falcon. Let me show you.
Oh, I don't know who they are. It was supposed to be Captain Falcon in Smash.
It's thanks to Sakurai we still see the legend of Captain Falcon. You know, there is a way we can bring back the legend if you, the fans, start demanding him to return at the doors of Nintendo. There is nobody else like you that can do it. You've got the human spirit. You cannot let a legend die. You cannot stop eating pizza pie. And when I see you again, I will sing a song about my fingers. And I know we'll game again, 'cause you're my racer. You're my racer. You're my friend. And I may be poor, but not in here, you see. And I know we will return with another history that I see. Goodbye now. Goodbye, everybody. Love you all.
Okay, awesome. That's a wrap.
Finally, that's all done.
For goodness
Get away from me, you stupid creep. Get away.
Okay, jeez. Okay.
Oh, my back hurts. All that singing and dancing is just not my thing. Gosh, I need a vacation. I don't think I can keep doing this. All these history videos, I don't know. Let's have a look. All right. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's a nice shirt. I do like that shirt. My lip singing seems a bit off here. I don't seem to match my words.
We can do it again if you want.
You know what? You know what? It would do. You know what? It would do.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Say, has anyone seen my chapstick?
No, whatever.
Yeah, boy. Just a lot of keys here.
Good shirt, Mr. Bob.
It's Tom Hanks.